Low mood. This is one of the three main symptoms of depression. The three main symptoms were first described by German psychiatrist Emil Kraepelin, and he called them a triad of symptoms. The first of these three main symptoms is pathologically low mood. Mood sharply drops, and emotional shifts initially occur sporadically. Over time, these shifts become more frequent and soon evolve into a constant state for the individual. A mood decline is considered pathological if it lasts for at least 2 weeks. As a result of this lowered mood, the person becomes incapable of finding pleasure in previously enjoyable activities. They no longer derive joy from things they once liked.
I'm just not interested anymore.
The person may become withdrawn, saying things like,
I don't feel like meeting with you.
I want to be alone.
Leave me alone.
Psychiatrists describe this state using the term anhedonia, the inability to experience pleasure from life. The mood decline associated with depression is not related to the environment or any specific events. It is not a reaction to either positive or negative occurrences. In children, this disorder often manifests as avoiding favorite activities and distancing themselves from communication with parents and friends. A child might stop participating in peer activities, refuse to go to school, and lose interest in hobbies that once brought joy. In adolescence, feelings of sadness and withdrawal are common, and these symptoms are intensified in depression. Academic performance often drops sharply, and one might notice that the teen interacts less with peers, avoids parties, and turns down social invitations. Of course, it's important to consider the individual's personality type, as some people are simply not inclined to go to parties or social gatherings but still maintain close relationships. In depression, however, there's a clear change in behavior compared to their usual patterns. In older adults, brain activity declines, including the cells responsible for the sensation of pleasure. As a result, depression in older age can sometimes be viewed as a manifestation of the natural aging process of the nervous system, though this is a somewhat controversial viewpoint. Slow thinking. This is the second of the three main symptoms of depression, part of the depressive triad. Cognitive activity slows down, and thinking through usual tasks takes longer. There are also problems with memory and processing information. In other words, it becomes difficult to learn. This symptom is especially apparent when someone is studying and required to absorb large amounts of new information. For depressed teens, this symptom can be quite noticeable because they have a heavy academic workload. If a person's job requires significant intellectual effort, they might notice this symptom as well.
How did I manage this before? This is way too hard for me now.
The slowing of thought leads to difficulties with concentration and attention. It becomes hard to keep focused on anything. For example, someone might gaze out the window during a lecture or lose concentration and fall asleep while working on a laptop. The person struggles not only with focusing on tasks, but also with thinking things through and making decisions. This can result in significant difficulty, or even an inability, to make decisions. Slowed thinking is also often accompanied by an intense focus on personal feelings, while ignoring the outside world. The person might think,
I feel terrible and no one understands.
You can't imagine how bad I feel.
You don't really know me.
this self-absorption leads to distancing from loved ones. Slowed thinking and intense focus on personal feelings is considered pathological if it lasts for at least 2 weeks. Another manifestation of slowed thinking is speech. During conversations after being asked a question, there may be an unusually long pause before the person responds. When he does speak, his speech is often slow, monosyllabic, and lacking in detail or explanation. In more severe cases, the person may become completely silent, thinking deeply about each question before responding. Slow reaction. Psychomotor retardation. This is the third of the 3 main symptoms of depression, part of the depressive triad. Motor movements become sluggish and slowed down, with prolonged periods spent in one posture. There is a noticeable reduction in physical activity and slower reaction times. The person becomes excessively slow, almost immobilized, and might walk with a noticeable stiffness. They may spend the majority of the day lying in bed. The characteristic sitting posture is hunched over, with the head bowed and elbows resting on the knees. In some cases, motor slowness can progress to complete immobility, depressive stupor. Sometimes the person simply lacks the energy to perform any action, including the most basic tasks. Changes may also occur in facial expressions, which become flat and monotonous. Over time, the face may reflect a fixed expression of despair, sadness, or hopelessness. Changes in appetite. This is another important symptom of depression, either loss of appetite or overeating. Especially when combined with the three main depressive symptoms, the mood decline, cognitive changes, and decreased motor activity, problems with appetite can worsen the condition. Loss of appetite often leads to weight loss, even to the point of anorexia. On the other hand, some people may experience an increase in appetite, feeling the urge to eat excessively and without control. Sleep disruptions. Insomnia is a common symptom. Often, it is accompanied by daytime sleepiness known as hypersomnia. A person with depression might complain about being unable to sleep at night, while those around them, such as family members, might report the opposite. This discrepancy is a sign of a disturbance in the sense of the natural sleep cycle. In a state of non-depression, a person has a good sense of whether he or she slept or did not sleep. Self-criticism and low self-esteem. Low self-esteem is very typical of depression, and it usually manifests as excessively negative self-judgments.
I'm useless.
I'm worthless.
I'm never going to succeed because I'm a failure.
It's also common for people to feel unworthy in their professional life, even when there's no actual reason for it. Pessimistic view of the future. Depression is often accompanied by a bleak outlook on the future.
Everything has fallen apart.
It's only going to get worse.
There's a persistent feeling of anxiety and expectation of disaster without any real cause.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Something bad is going to happen.
In the beginning, this leads to discouragement, but in more severe cases, it can lead to despair. Feelings of guilt. These are typically accompanied by self-blame.
It's all my fault. I'm the cause of these failures. I didn't do anything to prevent this from happening.
In addition to guilt, a person may also experience feelings of shame.
I'm so ashamed of who I am. I can't go with you because I'll just embarrass you.
Irritability and aggressive behavior. Some individuals experience intense outbursts of irritability and even aggression. Sluggishness can be replaced with agitation. During these episodes, the person might lash out or make accusations, sometimes over trivial issues they wouldn't have cared about before. It's important to understand that irritability replacing sluggishness is a symptom of depression. Increased fatigue. There's a quick onset of fatigue even during tasks that previously didn't cause any exhaustion. This increased tiredness makes it harder to complete everyday activities and household tasks. Indifference to appearance. In severe cases, there's a lack of concern for personal hygiene. The person may lose interest in brushing their teeth, combing their hair, or looking presentable. This is connected to many of the symptoms listed above. It becomes difficult to make decisions to do simple things like wash or brush their teeth, and even if they start, they may not finish due to distractibility and difficulty concentrating. Suicidal thoughts. In some severe cases, long-lasting depression may lead to suicide planning or, in extreme instances, attempts to take one's own life. This symptom is very serious and doesn't occur alone, but in conjunction with many other depressive symptoms. The person in this state needs immediate help, as it can be very difficult to cope on their own. These were the 12 main symptoms of depression. Thanks for watching.